All right, we're going back to Ghana where Chris Odamteng is standing by. And Chris, just before we lost you there, I was trying to get your thoughts on why we have an inverted yield curve in Ghana. We see Treasury bill yields at about 22%, but of course, like we mentioned earlier, the 5-year bond is now at 19%.
Well, I mean, the government of the past, or well, the central bank has always had the view that interest rates should fall in the long term. So that's been the view of Ghanaians over a long period, and it's not changed. So even though you have the short term being higher, you always have the long term being lower, because they expect that it would drop in the end.
What role would you say inflation is playing in this dynamic here? Because 22% sounds pretty high for short-term yields, and we know that recently we have seen inflation tick back over to 10%, even though it came down a little bit in the latest data to about 11.5%.
Yes, if you realize that at any point in time, the long-term rate is always higher than inflation. It's always been a view of the central bank to make sure that we have inflation targeting. So at the end of the day, they're always looking at bringing the rates down in the long term. And then so the short term is actually to do the mop up, and then the long term is to bring the rates down.
All right. In this environment, I imagine it will be extremely difficult for any corporates to issue bonds. Do we have any corporate activity in the bond market?
Well, not really. What we've had mostly is activity for the corporates in the Ghana Stock Exchange, on the stock market, but not actually issuing bonds. They've been issuing the stocks and shares on the stock exchange, but not in corporate bonds. Corporate bonds have not been very fruitful.
Right, I can imagine why. I'm giving, if long-term yields are at 19%, they obviously have to add a premium to that for it to be attractive to investors. But okay, let's talk about the outlook though. What's your expectation for yields going forward?
Well, recently we've had hikes in fuel. We've had had hikes in utilities. So, I mean, all in all, I expect that there should be a spike before the end of the year in terms of interest rates and inflation.
And even for the bonds, the 5-year bond, you anticipate that the subsequent issues will be higher than 19%?
I don't think so. I don't think so. If anything, it will be at par, but not higher than 19%.